when I came to Woodstock, I came as a third grader. And I don't know if anybody remember, but I came from the all-black Lucy Elementary School. And when I came here, I was a young man. I was a grade ahead when I came. And when I got here, I just began to be integrated into what was going on here. And of course, we had some of the best teachers, and of course, I just love it.
The school empowered young black girls because the mantra that was unspoken, but it was because everybody pushed you to do the best you could.
I came here as a young agriculture teacher, and I taught agriculture for 1 year. I was drafted into the Army. I spent 2 years in the Army, and I came back. I started teaching biology and earth science. I taught biology and earth science here until 1967.
We feel so blessed to have been a part of the Woodstock experience because we were loved.
During the Martin Luther King marches, most of the children from Woodstock attended those marches. And the few students and some of the teachers attended it. But we made a decision that I would be at school, but the only thing I ask the students to do is don't get in trouble.
So it's always a connection from Woodstock to whatever phase of your life that you go to.
It was pretty tough when we were told that it would be the last year that it would be a high school, would be our 8th grade year, and we would not get a chance to go, but that was due to integration.
It was kind of hard. We knew that we were going to be the last class, and we knew it was shutting us down, but we didn't want to be the last class.
I'm Carla Fields Richardson, a graduate of Woodstock School. Woodstock School gave Black students in rural Shelby County a rare chance at a full education in the times of segregation.
Ida B. Wells came really before. She was here, she was in this area, but I find no record of her actually being at Woodstock School. I find no record. Nobody gave me. I know she was here. I know what the history says, and I know what the document, but I haven't been able to tie it together. But she was here, and she did make her an imprint on the time that she was in this area, because she left here, she went and got in trouble with, with the city and what have you. But she was in this area. But basically, the church was the foundation of this area. And as you know, the CME Church, Greenleaf, was the origin of what the school grew out of, and the other churches around here were also supporters of educating its children. So it was difficult. When it was called the Shelby County Training School, they had boys working farm work. They worked with building people in the community needing, say for an instance, an old person needing some help in building new steps to get in and out of the house. They had boys going around castrating hogs and cows and doing things to help the community become productive.
Do you allow me to tell you about Woodstock when I came? There are a few things about that people need to know. It was an oppressed setting. There were 2 dormitories, one over on the west side for girls and over on the east side for boys. It was an outdoor toilet facility, which was a brick building outside. the books were all second-handed. They were all the books that had been used by Caucasian students in other schools, outdated. So when the new books came, they got the new ones and we got the old ones. Despite that, there were no science lab facilities. I went to the superintendent and asked for new books. You know, DNA it was discovered in the late 1800s, but it was being put in the 80s, it was being put to use. And our students needed to know about DNA after it came out, so the books did not even address it. The teachers were paid one salary, that is if you were of color. And if you were a white teacher, you were paid more.
It was awesome. It was so wonderful. It was so pleasant and pleasing. The teachers were so nice. We had a lot of seasoned teachers and we had a lot of young teachers, but they were really on the ball. I had Mr. Milton Harris, my first teacher in 7th grade. And there I went over to Mr. Bacon, to Mr. Tony and Miss Tony and all of those, along with Hill. Hill was my homeroom teacher, and she was very nice. And I just enjoyed it so much. The food was just awesome. The food was great, and I really enjoyed it. And everybody could eat because it was a low price. And I think the food is a little higher now, but then it was really nice. But we had some ups and downs, but the main thing is the reception room. When we get through out of school, we have the bus wasn't ready for you to pick you up. You go to the reception room and you could eat ice cream, which you had to buy now. Ice cream, cookies, or candy, whatever like that. You could buy that. It was awesome here. The boys' dormitory, and we had an orchard across the street over there. We go there and get fruit out of the orchard, and then Mr. Haynes, he was our agriculture teacher, and we had to go and measure the ground, how much cotton they could plant, because over planting you had to plow it up. And so we had to go and measure it, and I was in that class where I had to go and measure the ground. They had too much cotton, we'll tell them they had to plow it up because the government didn't want to have over the limit of cotton at that time. So it was really nice. Everything was just nice. The teachers was nice here. I began to learn because there was so much to do and so much enthusiasm here that I just enjoyed every minute. The teachers were just with you all the way, and I just had a great time here. Woodstock, I just hope it never will be a place where it be forgotten or the place where it be no more Woodstock, because it was an educated place. Educated, very educated. People were so educated until you just want to be there with them. You just want to love them, and they love their students also.
Well, it was a great experience. You know, we were an all-black school, and we were not competing with others in and around the school. We were just here as students to learn, and that's really what we set out to do. And Woodstock was very unique because I started here in the 6th grade. I came from Wash Elementary to Woodstock in the 6th grade. And then when I graduated to the 7th grade, Mr. Bacon was my teacher. And there were 2 grades in one room, 7th and 8th grade. Mm-hmm. And was taught in one room. And then when we, at the end of that school year, went on to the 9th grade, Miss Pretty was my homeroom teacher, was in one room, and that was very unique.
I enjoyed being here. We had real teachers then. I don't mean to say that they don't have real ones now, but they were like parents. They had straps to put us in order. I mean, they weren't beating anybody, and we tried to keep away and do what we were supposed to do. We got our lessons. We had books that were sent from other schools, but we had books. We did homework, had homework. And at the time when I first came here, since we lived on a farm, we didn't stay in school that, entire time. There was a section of the year, when we had to be out doing farm work. But there were, I think, about 81 students in our graduating class. It could have been one or two fewer, I can't think right now. But we had a number of the subjects that we were enrolled in were different from what the students have now. Like for the young ladies, home economics, and we had to learn how to make certain dresses before we were out of the class. And I shouldn't say dressing, I should say clothing, because I remember our having to do with one of our teachers, coat, 3/4 coat that went with a skirt. And we had to learn how to, do all the things that went along with it.
Enjoyed every moment of it. I went to school here 12 years, and I walked to school 12 years. Mr. Roddy was our principal. He used to have a meeting every morning, and I never could understand what he was meant. He says, girls, walk in the middle of the road so you won't fall in the ditch. I'll never forget that. And it took me a lifetime to realize what he was talking about. And I was in the choir. I got locked in school one day. I was quiet when I was 2nd grade, and I was doing the bulletin board, cleaning them off, and everybody left. And I said, where's everybody? And everybody had left and left me here. Silly me, cried a bit, and then I sat down. But my aunt lived where we lived 5 minutes, 10 minutes from here. I wasn't home at the right time, and she came looking for me. And that's how every principals and everybody started running then, because they had locked me in the building. And I was just sitting there. I loved my teachers, every one of them. We had one teacher, Mrs. Emma McLemore. I'll never forget it. I learned how to write under her. If you didn't make those circles correct, you didn't make it. You had to make it. Miss Williamson was our math teacher, and I loved her. Miss Graham, I remember all my teachers. Miss Graham was my Spanish teacher, and I cannot speak a word of Spanish. Mr. Leaks was the math teacher. Miss Tony was our history teacher. And Miss Bacon was my home economics teacher, and I sold today from that situation.
Well, my favorite teachers were Mrs. Ophelia Harris in 5th grade, Mrs. Alma Bacon, who tried to teach me home ec, Dr. Fred Johnson, who tried to teach me biology. I'm trying to think, who else? Oh, Mrs. Whitaker was our English teacher, and she was only here a short period of time, but she was very impressive. And when I went to Lemoyne, her father-in-law was our music teacher. So it's always a connection from Woodstock to whatever phase of your life that you go to.
My time was special because I started school
a year before I was supposed to. I started school in 1948. And the reason 1948, because Mr. Roddy, our principal, had an idea. There was no Head Start during that time. He selected 7 students out of the community to experiment with Head Start. And I was one of the 7. Our classroom was the old boys dormitory, which had 3 rooms. One was the big room for the basketball team, those guys that came from out of town. And there were 2 offices. One was for Mr. Ernest Brazel, who was the Shelby County agricultural agent, and the other room was for our little classroom. We had a lot of attention from Mr. Roddy and the faculty during that time because we were not supposed to be in school. But after the 1st grade, our teacher was Ms. Evelyn Boyd, and then the 9th grade, we started a band. And my class were 9th graders at the time. They were the start of the first band.
It was God sent for me. I graduated from Tennessee State University. At that time, if you looked like me, you either had to become a teacher or a preacher with a college degree. There was not anything else to do. I knew I couldn't become a preacher. I have too much of my mother in me to become a preacher. So I went to Michigan and started to work in an insurance firm. My uncle was the president, and he kept saying, "If you hang with me, you will follow me." And I couldn't do that. And I received a call. My father didn't want me to go away anyway, and I received a call saying, "Come, you have a job in Memphis at Woodstock." When I came here, I started looking for an apartment, some place to live, and you would have thought Mr. Roddy convinced me that, I had this plush apartment and the world was so great at Woodstock, I didn't need to go anywhere else. He had a place for me to live here on campus. And when I came to the campus, it was beautifully done, but it was very rural and there was kind of cultural shock until I got here and met the people, met the leaders. The one R.J. Roddy, may he rest in peace. A man of vision, a man of wisdom, a man who taught you how to survive despite the oppression that may confront you. He was dynamic. I could talk all week about him, so I'll stop.
When I came to Woodstock, I came as a 3rd grader. And I don't know if anybody remember, but I came from the all-black Lucy Elementary School. And when I came here, I was a young man. I was a grade ahead when I came. And when I got here, I just began to be integrated into what was going on here. And of course, we had some of the best teachers, and of course, I just love it.
Oh, it was a beautiful time. I started in 1954, and we walked to school the whole 12 years. No matter what the weather, we were walking. And you couldn't wear pants and things like that. So we jumped in our saddle Oxfords, a raincoat, a coat, whatever was needed to protect you from the elements, and went to school. And we had wonderful teachers. My 1st grade teacher was Miss Samela Rhodes, and she was like always bubbly and happy and laughing with us, and we sang. And my Aunt Susie was a teacher, and she was the musician, so she would play, and we sang things like good morning, be careful, little tongue, what you say, and things like that. And then we went on from that to up to fifth grade, where we had Miss Brazel, who came from Washington Road School, and she was my fifth grade teacher, and she was a good teacher. Everybody in the class made A's. We were just that good.
My time at Woodstock was pretty long. I went for 12 years. I lived over on Rush Road, and I still live there now after being away for 41 years. But we walked to school every day. The first memory I have of school is we had grits for breakfast one morning. My mother was giving us something different. We'd never had that before. And I got sick at school, and my brother had to bring me home. I must have been in like the first or second grade at that time. Another memory is sixth grade, Miss Emma McLemore. You probably heard her name come up from some of the previous speakers, but she was very tough, but you learned a lot. And one thing I remember about her is when you walked to school like we did, if you got there 15 minutes early, you were not early, you were in time for writing. So you started writing as soon as you got to school. You didn't play or anything like that. I still remember ovals, push-pulls, crisscrosses. That's how you learn to write. So everybody who went through Miss Emma McLemore's class, you know they can write. They can do cursive writing. So that's some of the earliest memories of walking to school for 12 years, the same school.
When I came, the dormitory closed. That was 66. But before then, there had been a dormitory, and students came from all over, from Tennessee, Arkansas, to Tipton County, and my year was the first year that we didn't have out-of-state students. So we had the three buildings. We had the dormitory, and we moved them, when I came, to classrooms. And the classrooms were special education, severely mentally retarded, and there was one other class, I can't think of what it was. That was in the dormitory. But in the other building was academics for elementary, and in the gymnasium was the younger children, 1 through 4, I believe. And in this building, we were 9 through 12.
I was a 12-year student here, and so I had a lot of experiences from first grade up until my graduation year in '67. And you have to give those teachers a lot of credit in elementary school. A lot of times they don't get credit because we just basically focus on the high school. But those nurturing teachers in the elementary school, and you learned a lot from them. They got you ready for the next level, which was your middle school years, 6th, 7th, and 8th, and then the high school experience. They wanted you to succeed here. That was one of the biggest things. They wanted you to succeed. They wanted to expose you to as much as they could, and in and outside of the classroom.
Well, now that was the first year that they allowed the girls to take technical drawing. And my best friend, Linda Turner, and Barbara Threadkill and myself took that chance, and the men were able to take home economics. Also, that was the year that Dr. Martin Luther King was killed when we were studying for 5th, 6 weeks exam. I never shall forget that. Also, there used to be a situation where seniors had to give senior speeches, juniors had to introduce them, and sophomores had to respond to the speeches. And I won that year. I was the top speech for my class, and my title was The Flood of Opportunities. And I'm sure everybody else has told you how we feel so blessed to have been a part of the Woodstock experience because we were loved and we were cared for, and somebody cared about us. And I also love that everybody had to read. We still did standing up reading in 12th grade. So you couldn't get to the 12th grade and not know how to read. I know that's not happening now. And that's what discouraged me the most now, that you make it to college and cannot read.
Because Woodstock was the place. We were known for our academics. We were known for our athletics. So Woodstock was renowned. And whenever we had a function, Isaac Hayes and David Porter had written a song, Soul Man, and there was a line in the song, I was educated at Woodstock, and we used to play that all the time. We were so proud of that because we were educated at Woodstock.
I realized that when you go into a place, you don't touch anything because it's sacred. You know, you don't know enough to bother or touch. So the first thing I did when I got there was call Miss Smith, asked her to get anyone she wanted to have. We convened, and I gave her my idea standing outside of the front door and said, hey, I would like to do this, that. But the whole point of it all was not to do anything until I've talked with members of that community. And so, because I know how precious it is, she made it clear and talked with community members, hey, you know, you almost work at the will and pleasure of us. So forget the district, you know. And I understood that. That's important because they want to continue what they know to be a good thing. So that's important.
You see, I went to barracks. I went to a poor school with less academic attainment. And what I'm saying, we had 16 Carnegie units when I went to school. And that was poor. That was the minimum. Okay? Woodstock had, you know, in the 20s, it's a difference from a different area.
Ones who attended Woodstock, we were all farmers. Our parents were farmers. Mm-hmm. And we were out of school twice a year. We started school in early April, then for about 6 weeks, and then we were out for 6 weeks for the chopping of cotton. Then the cotton was planted, and then in late September, we were out 6 weeks for the picking of cotton. And then we went back to school and completed the school year. So Woodstock was very unique within itself.
In the 9th grade, there were several of our minority schools that were changed from high schools to middle schools. Millington was one of them. Millington High School, the Black Millington High School. All of those students from the 9th grade up to 12th were sent to Woodstock, and they merged with us.
In those days, it wasn't easy for a black person to school because the school was so far apart. And when you got there, you were able to learn, and I treasured all the things that they taught me. My senior class, it helped me because when I got my speech ready, I said, when people leave one place, another place, they have a suitcase, and what they put in are the things that they need on the trip or where they're going to stay. So I had in my suitcase, I had integrity, I had mercy, I had love, and I had character in my suitcase because it was something that they imparted in me. It's still in me right today. And it's going to carry on into my generation or into my children's generation. I instilled in them what the school meant to me. It wasn't just somewhere to go to be entertained. It was somewhere to go to learn. and I really enjoyed it.
I left in 1967, and I never returned back here. I stayed within the system for 45 years, but I had other jobs within the system.
And one of those jobs was superintendent.
Yes.
Tell
You
it.
know what? The job that made a difference in my life was what I learned at Tennessee State and what I learned at the knees of the great R.J. Roddy. First I left, a gentleman came into my room one morning at 8 o'clock. He was the assistant superintendent for the whole district. And he came in my room at 8 o'clock, and I introduced him. And the second period, third period, fourth period, he just stayed there. And I ignored him the other 3 periods. I went right on my work and did what I was going to do. And then at the end of that period, he said to me, you're not going to be here next year. And I said, why? He said, you're going to be the district-wide science supervisor. No interview, no nothing, I was told. I said, what if I don't want to do it? You don't have a job. I had a wife and 2 children. So I took the job. From there, I became the assistant superintendent. I took his job eventually. And then I became superintendent for a short period of time. But Woodstock is where I belong.
The principal when I entered Woodstock was R.J. Roddy. He would have something called assembly every Monday. And he would go over things from the previous week. He would talk about things that was going to happen that week. And he was going to make sure that everybody was doing what they were supposed to do. He was impressive because of the people who he hired. He basically hired people from Tennessee, teachers from Tennessee State University, Lane College, Lemoyne College, people that he knew were firm about what they were doing. And so their experiences were translated to us.
It's not like at majority schools where you're just on the sideline. At a majority school, being Black like that, everybody had value. And it wasn't like, you can't do this. At that school, everybody was expected to succeed, even girls. And I'll tell you that one summer, I had a chance to go to Lemoyne, I think that's where it was, for a science fair. So this was STEM before STEM was a thing. And that's how my sister and I got into science. That was an experience. And the principal, Mr. Roddy, one of the things that seared into everybody's memory is when you went to compete for something, bring the bacon home. Bring home the bacon. That was the thing. So you knew that when you went out, you were supposed to represent well. So far as Black women are concerned, he didn't make any difference between boys and girls. Everybody was expected to succeed. And it wasn't like girls, we took home economics, we didn't take shop, but we needed economics, home economics, and boys really needed home economics too, but that wasn't a thing back then. But so far as everything else was concerned, it was not, you're male, you do this, you're female, you do this. Everybody was encouraged to work up to their potential.
Well, he was a firm man. He was a man who was concerned about us. And then he had some funny ways also. And if I can use the word, he used to call us sockwads and things like that. But he was very passionate and he cared about us. And the thing I loved about him, the teachers that he brought in, they were handpicked, and all those teachers that he brought in taught us, and they were no nonsense, but they were very compassionate. That's what I loved about him, because he was concerned about us all the way down the line.
Mr. Roddy, I remember 6th grade, it's just one incident, but Mr. Ryder would visit, well, he would come to your classrooms. And I mean, he would come and he would take a seat and he'd watch the teachers teach their class. And I was in Miss Georgia Woodruff's room, and he loved when a boy could do something. I mean, if we were spelling, if we were reading, if we were doing math, and I'm pretty good at arithmetic. So whenever Miss Woodruff had enough sense to know what he was looking for, so whatever we were doing, we'd be finishing up when he got there, and we'd go to math. Or either we'd go to spelling, because Ashton Gates was a very good speller. And so that way, Mr. Ryder left there happy. But he said, that's what a boy can do. You know, that was Mr. Ryder. You know, he was just always wanting to see a boy do well. And so whenever he come to the room, I would be one of the ones she would put at the board to do a problem, work a problem in math. So Mr. Ryder, he would always leave out of there happy. You know, and Mr. Strong, Mr. Strong was a little bit more settled than Mr. Ryder. Mr. Strong he wanted everybody to learn. You know, and basically I was high school when he came in. And he was like, well, one thing I remember about him, he did not want you to yell when the opposing player was at the free throw line in basketball. I said, no. You know, everybody, we go somewhere and everybody making all this racket when you're trying to shoot a free throw, you know, but still, he had a very positive impact. He allowed the teachers to teach. Mr. Warner, he was one of my favorites, I guess to say. He didn't go just straight from, he taught English and literature. Well, he gave us outside stuff to read and work to do, like the autobiography of Malcolm X. I had to write a report on that. Well, we all had to. Soul on Ice by Eldridge Cleaver. You know, we read that and we wrote book reports. You know, but those are just two of the things. I mean,
Woodstock gave me the strength to do anything I wanted to do. And I loved it here, and I did whatever I was a very obedient child. And I did everything the teachers told me to do. And my aunt, I lived with my aunt, and she was a teacher. And they were all friends. So, you know, I had to do whatever I was supposed to do.
My parents were involved in every aspect of our lives. The school, they were here all the time, big supporters. And church, you know, we had 4 churches here in the community, and we went to every church. We were at a church every Sunday. So, and unfortunately, in 1968, my mother passed when I was getting ready to become a senior. So then that responsibility fell on my dad, which he did not take lightly, trust me.
Well, as a community, it was an amazing place. I remember it was like a town or a community. I remember things like parades. I remember when we had the Woodstock Community Improvement Club, where we did Lawn of the Month. They had Garden of the Month, all types of things like that. And Mr. R.J. Roddy, who was principal, was like the mayor of the town. We would see him every day in a different person's driveway after school, and he would be talking to families and empowering a lot of families to do certain things with their families, with their children. So it was really an amazing place. We also had like that village that they talk about, where anybody in the community could get on you if you were out of line. Everybody kept an eye on everybody. So it was amazing.
It was a close-knit community, and it's like men used to say one couldn't fall without the other. So we all pitched in to keep each other up and uplifted. And whatever somebody needed, we were there. We came together as a Woodstock community group. We had the PTA, we had neighborhood meeting groups, we had the NAACP. We had a lot of things going on in Woodstock.
My mother was a math whiz, but she graduated from Woodstock in 1941, 2 weeks after her 16th birthday. So she had, gone through school. She really liked math. As a matter of fact, before we started to school, we could count. We knew our numbers. We could actually write a little bit, so she did the kindergarten part at home. So we knew that before we even started. So, yes, I think all of that our mother instilled in us, but it wasn't just my mother, it was mothers in the entire community. Everybody expected their children to succeed, and everything they did was for their children to succeed. And then this, being in the Jim Crow era and things like that, our parents didn't have a chance to go to college because there was no such thing as a scholarship or anything like that back then. So what they wanted for their children was what my parents wanted for us, but every parent in the community, they wanted us to succeed and they wanted us to go to school to further our education. It wasn't like, when you graduate, what are you going to do? It was when you graduate, where are you going to go to school? So everybody made the sacrifice, so their children could go to school.
The family members, the parents, they wanted a lot for their students and they believed in you. So you couldn't dare let them down. They put faith in you to work with their children. And it was very important. So you had community support from the parents in the community. That was important. If you had a student, young men at certain ages, when we're growing up, sometimes we need attention. We don't know how to get it. So we act up. Back in those days, all I have to say is I'm gonna call Mrs. So-and-so or Mr. So-and-so. And hold on now, let's see if we can't negotiate this thing, We didn't want that to happen. That is non-existent anymore. I hate to see young black men going to jail by the dozens and killing each other. That's not necessary. I wish that the home community that I was privileged to work with in Woodstock, I wish that existed today, which would prevent some of the sad things we see every day. I just turn the television off. Every day is somebody's been boom, boom, Doesn't make sense.
Woodstock was the place. That's all people talked about, was attending Tennessee State University. And everybody looked forward to graduating from high school and going on up to Tennessee State. And most of Woodstock students was there and had graduated and come back and taught school at Woodstock.
It's the relationship between student and teacher. And having lived in the community, a lot of our teachers lived in the community. So we had very good teachers. That's one thing that Mr. Roddy demanded, is that, we get good teachers. So we had a relationship not only on campus and during school time, but after school. Because my fishing partner was my 8th grade teacher, Mr. Vernon Bacon. So we had a relationship, and I'll never forget that.
That I believe we had some of the best teachers, the best leaders, beginning with the principal all the way down through the 1st grade. And Woodstock is on my heart right now. That's what makes me the proudest, because when I look back at Woodstock, like I said, that's what made me who I am.
School meant to me. It wasn't just somewhere to go to be entertained. It was somewhere to go to learn, and I really enjoyed it.
And you represent Woodstock everywhere you go. And I really thought that, so I did it. I was very happy to say I'm from Woodstock.
The person who's going to be behind me, Fred Johnson, he taught the boys how to clean the building. And he had a crew that he taught cleanliness. Woodstock was about working with people, helping them find their niche and perfection.
It was just a fun place to be and a very nice place to go to school. And what most people don't know is that I was one of the janitors here at the school and who cleaned this building after everybody was gone. And this really was very important to me because it was my first job, and I didn't take it lightly.
There was great educators at the school, there was great leadership at the school, and there was a sense of pride, and it all was a part of the community.
Everybody looked out for everybody else. I remember we lived over on Rust Road, you know, it's kind of curvy, there are hills and things like that. And when we first started walking to school, as a matter of fact, I had my older brother, who was 4 years older, and cousin, you know, we'd all go as a group to school. They walked very fast, so my sister and I had to walk fast to keep up. So to this day, I walk fast, you know, purposeful and fast. But the lady who lived on top of the hill said, you know, these children should not be going down this hill. Cars come and they can't see them, so you cut across my yard. Things like that, you know, so everybody looked out for everybody else's children. And it was just a sense of community. That's the thing I'm proudest of. I don't think you find that much anymore, because you can live in communities now and you don't even know your neighbor, you know, after living for a long period of time. So I think the sense of community was what stuck with me. I think that's what stuck with me.
Well, in this community, we were surrounded by educators. So they were people that we looked up to, people that we respected. So they were great role models other than our parents.
To the alumni, I am proud that the community has been very supportive. I've not met a parent or anyone who didn't want what was best for the school. I went to the local country store, and anybody that's in that neighborhood went to the school and they said, well, I love Woodstock. What is it that you need? Anything that you need. And so I just want to continue to give back and honoring them and having a nice, clean, successful school. And so just for them, I mean it when I say for them to continue to be proud.
Leadership can evolve at any level. You just have to be interested enough to want to get involved. The men that we had that had been established before I came, they felt that the school was the foundation of where things started and began and ended. With that, we met with community leaders from time to time. And as we met with community leaders, your granddad was born. The people, we didn't make a real decision unless we had a kind of round table that we met in room 103, and we talked about what the needs of the community. And they had ideas that I did not know about. So basically, it was a commonality of input that could strengthen our community.
As a community, it was an amazing place. I remember it was like a town or a community. I remember things like parades. I remember when we had the Woodstock Community Improvement Club, where we did Lawn of the Month. They had Garden of the Month, all types of things like that. And Mr. R.J. Roddy, who was principal, was like the mayor of the town. We would see him every day in a different person's driveway after school, and he would be talking to families and empowering a lot of families to do certain things with their families, with their children. So it was really an amazing place. We also had like that village that they talk about, where anybody in the community could get on you if you were out of line. Everybody kept an eye on everybody. So it was amazing.
The love and the commitment that the faculty, the cafeteria workers, the custodians, the bus drivers, everybody cared about us. Everybody. And you couldn't just get by with doing just anything anywhere. And Miss Hill, the assistant principal here, she knew where everyone belonged at any time of the day. You didn't get lost. There wasn't no child left behind at Woodstock High School in 1968.
And people that are in the community now still need to know the importance or the history of the community that they are moving into. And we have a very rich history that we're all proud of.
When you're with them and they've been there, I mean, you're like a kid. You're like a child looking up to grown folk, real grown folk, you know, just sitting there talking to them, you know, it's just that look about them. And I guess I have my blazer and the way I'm dressed now, but they just seem to be pristine, you know, and with all the knowledge, with all the, you know, these guys are very mature, these ladies are very mature, but it is as if they were back in high school when you talk to them. You know, it's they're here for business, and they're sizing you up. You know, we know you're the principal, but you know, we still it's like you have to meet their approval. Again, the pride is commendable, and it's strong. And you know, I imagine they have a reunion every year. You know, most of us have it every 5 or 10 years. They get together all the time, and so it's an honor and a privilege to have the support, to have the guidance from that wonderful group.
Woodstock represents a beacon of hope, light, and community.
It feels to me to grow up to be someone that love people, love to do your job and do it well.
The teachers were free to do what they could for the students that they were responsible for. And we totally enjoyed it.
And this is what our parents wanted for us. Mm-hmm. They wanted us to do better than what they did.
People don't understand that it does not leave, as you grow older, you remember those things.
And I hope that administrators are really digging back and looking at the history of the school and spending some time getting the students to understand a lot of the things that made the Woodstock what it was, the traditional things that made it what it was.
I just ask you young people to persevere and keep up the good work. Carry on the legacy. That's all I can say.
You know, to continue to have good scores. Since I've been there, we've been a level 5 school. You know, just build on with the. I did not touch the trophy case, and that's a reminder of the history. I mean, with band, the honors, so just continue the sports, just continue that legacy of excellence.
Once a Woodstockian is always a Woodstockian.